Thank you, Mr. Chair. And in this building, we have a lot of meetings going on, so I thank you, to Mr. Chair. I'll try to earn my stripes and do my best here. But Lauren and Jonathan, good to see you. But it's amazing to me, how did we go from asking for more tax credits to where we are, where you're struggling with the elimination of this? It's got to be bewildering to you.
It is, and I think what has been frustrating for us is the lack of information and education, and to the lawmakers yourselves and to the different committees. And I think the importance of this is we've been fighting to bring business here. I mean, we're trying to bring business into the state. I'm working currently to try to build sound stages in the state. And I'm doing that to create brick and mortar, real long-term investments. And so that was the idea. And then once this elimination comes across the board, frankly, it scares everyone. They lose trust in the state. And I'm talking about the current stakeholders lose trust in the state. And it's very hard to talk to these producers and say, but come here, please. And so it is disparaging. But I would say this, we really believe that there's the arts, the community in the arts help people even when they're struggling. When you're in depression or you're in economic hardships, what do you usually go do? It helps you to escape to watch television. All of us watch television, all of us watch movies, and all of that money goes to Hollywood. Why can't we bring it back to the state?
I appreciate that, and I think it's important knowing both of you and your decision and commitment to be Connecticut residents.
Yes.
When you could do your business elsewhere. Newtown's a great town to be in, I know that, but I think the key point to that is when you bring production, when you showcase the state of Connecticut in your Hallmark shows and the various others, it is almost kind of an unacknowledged dollar of tourism.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
I think we have made a commitment to support tourism
Correct.
in Connecticut as a revenue generation.
Mm-hmm.
Give me some of your thoughts, and I know for me, there are residences in my district that have hosted the famous Hallmark Christmas shows,
Right.
and people flock there. People identify Connecticut as the beautiful, wonderful communities to live in. That is more than any dollar of tourism and marketing we can provide. So talk to me about what having production and the showcase of our beautiful communities from Essex to Newtown to Southport. What does that mean in tourism dollars and the prestige of Connecticut relative to anywhere else in the country?
That's a great question. I like the whole Make It Here campaign. Make it here as in production, but also make it here, make it your travel destination. Make it here to live here. So yes, it does showcase. I will tell you from an example, I just did some scouting in Chairwoman Horn's district, and the director said, you know what, I think I want to move to Connecticut because it's so beautiful here. And what we do is we showcase. Why do you think Mystic Pizza? I mean, Mystic Pizza is permanently on the map, and people go to Mystic for that very specific reason. But I will also tell you, the tourism has done tremendously great jobs. On my Facebook, I get all these ads, right? And I'm like, gosh, can we just do that and tie that to the film production? And then all of a sudden, you've got bureaus and tourism, and on top of that, I have actors and people coming out of the state that want to come back and visit Connecticut and stretch their legs and vacation here. Because that's not including what we would see as like my parents or anybody else watching the television and what they see. So yes, I think it's hard to even equate the numbers. It's marketing the state visually, which is we're a location state. Just have you guys know this, that since we don't have any Class A sound stages that would support large TV shows, and which we're trying to do, a lot of people come here to shoot for the location. I have the film right now that's shooting here, and it's set in Canada, around Niagara Falls. And guess what? I convinced them to shoot here. So it's pretty cool that we can showcase Canadian look and shoot a Connecticut film. I have a football movie that wants to shoot here. And guess what they want to do? They want to shoot in Newtown High School, which won the football championship, I think, 2019. And they love the community. I'm sharing these photos to millions of people, marketing it, not only to shoot the films, but to visit here. So
I think that's the challenge, right? Is these are not tangible dollars of consideration. Now, for that producer, we would encourage them to move into Connecticut and into Representative Horn's district. It's a beautiful area.
Yeah.
But I need you to understand part of the challenge that we have is that we also want to maintain an affordable Connecticut.
Correct.
And that we need to evaluate and judiciously look at every tax credit that we give.
Absolutely.
Because it's less money in. And I think that's the twist of this and the challenge. However, I think what may be helpful to this committee and the legislature is if you had residual dollar values of financial contribution, site locations in which businesses can document their growth in business volumes, and the tourism boards of your respective towns that you've had a site location, and to get incremental increases on tourism. Look, my wife saw Mystic Pizza 25 years ago. She still visits it every time we drive by in hoping that she catches Julia Roberts. But the reality ultimately is you don't have measurable metrics. And perhaps maybe the industry should do a little bit more, that when you go to a site location, unless you have them.
We do, and this is where I want to get to the point, and I've been driving this, is because of the third-party audit that DECD requires, and that means every single person that gets that credit has to do a third-party audit. So you can address those numbers. The numbers, what they do is they drill down in how much money they spent renting houses, how much money they spend at all the restaurants, how much money each person gets per diem if they don't live here. That's $420 in cash. That gets accounted for. I mean, I'm talking about every single penny gets accounted for in the community and also where in the community. And that is also something you can look at, how many films shoot in a certain community, and you can then say, okay, what about communities that don't receive as much production, like I'm using Bridgeport might be a good example, and they could see, we could look at helping them get more production. But those numbers are measurable. They are there, and every single one of the productions, and this goes back until 2007 when the credit was created, and guess what? They have papers and they have boxes of reports, and then they have it electronically, so it's there. And I would happy to sit down with anybody. That's why I'm saying the Film Commission is important, because we could sit down and walk through a cost report, so you can see where every single penny is spent, and I can show you the addresses of all the locations, and then we can start looking at the tourism side of that.
And if you could, through to the chairs and the rankings, if you could share that, it'd be important. But I'll close and thank you, Mr. Chair and Madam Chair. Is ultimately, your industry has survived through COVID and then the aftermath of the industry strikes. I know many of your men and women are struggling. And this would be another blow that would force you to move. And we want to keep Connecticut businesses and Connecticut residents in this state. But ultimately, I think there's been mention about Georgia and some of the challenges with Georgia. But I would also ask for those individuals to also look at where Canada has really grown in supporting the industry. And you know, Canada may be a great place for you all to visit, but it's a long, long way from home. So again, thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the indulgence, and I'll look to earn more of my credits back. Thank you.